So I breastfed both of my kiddos, but I found through that process was that it allowed me to connect to the things that their bodies were naturally happy with and the things that they weren't happy with. Mm-hmm. So, for example, it was through breastfeeding that we figured out that our kids are sensitive to gluten and dairy. And it was different signals that we were looking for during that time that helped us to figure that out. And it also then connected to, oh, there it is. It also then connects even more so to, all right, or then it connects on a different level when they do start to eat on their own, where, okay, now they're starting to choose what it is that they're eating. Mm-hmm. But in actuality, yes, our parents are the ones that are choosing what it is that they're eating. Right. So I really love this month from the standpoint of being able to help educate and bring awareness to the fact that nutrition isn't just something that you do when you're wanting to lose weight or you've been given a particular diagnosis and now you're attempting to correct things, that it can start right now, mm-hmm. even if there doesn't be anything going on with you. And it's important each and every day. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah. Let's see. I'm a connected.
Let's see. No, I think I hear you. But you know what? Let's at least put your audio for Facebook on mute, but at least I'll have your face up there and we shall hear the words through Instagram. Does that make sense?
Okay, yeah, let me see what I can do to mute my phone. Okay, is it better?
I still hear. Oh, hey, I hear you on my end.
Boom. Okay, there it is. Hi. I turned it off.
Come off of Facebook. Come off of Instagram for me, because I still hear the echo. I know. Yeah.
There it is. I'm off of Instagram. I'm off.
Okay. Okay. Well, okay. So let me set you all up so that you all can take part in this conversation. Okay.
You're good. Oh my word. All right. So now you can hear me. Now you can see me. Is this going to go to Facebook and Instagram then?
Yes, it is. I have my Instagram. Yes. Okay. So we're still on there. And as soon as
cool.
It's all good, I can stop looking crazy on here and sit back and look a little bit more professional.
Just what's going on?
Just a bit. Okay, I want them to see you, not me. Okay. There. Okay.
Okay. Cool. All right. There we are. Okay. I think I've got this. Okay. Phenomenal. This is exciting. I'm excited. Yay!
Thank you for joining me. And yes, everything. So question: how long did you breastfeed your babies?
Yeah, excellent question. So with my daughter, we breastfed for 13 months, and then my son, he really didn't want to break up, but then when he realized, oh wait, I can eat solids like that. Oh, okay, cool. So he was about 15 months. Yeah, so I did at least a year with both. The goal was a year.
Wonderful. That's wonderful. And yeah, that transition of how I have a couple of moms now concerned with weaning or to extend breastfeeding beyond a year. The World Health Organization supports breastfeeding beyond a year, even if they can get as close to 2 as possible. And there's those great benefits for both babies and moms, but they're a little concerned about just the clinginess and the neediness of their children going beyond a year, and beyond. And so I said, well, first of all, you're going to be introducing solids. That is going to be a whole new thing in itself, so that distraction is wonderful. And so, then from there, sometimes it's just a comfort thing. And depending on how you wean, using food and other distractions, but also other love and support, because they feel like you are separating yourself from them, you're distancing yourself from them, and so then they hold on tighter. And so it's like, no, you have to replace some of that breastfeeding with food and other distractions, and other love and hugs and attention. That way they see the switch and know that it's going to be okay, that you all's relationship is going to be all right. And just because you're not at the end of my breast anymore, it will fall apart.
Oh yeah. Most
So
definitely.
how did you find out that your children were sensitive to gluten and a few other things?
Yes. So with gluten and dairy, they both happened literally through breastfeeding. That was how we.
Okay.
So with my daughter, so I guess I need to step back and just give a little bit of a philosophical explanation. So for the way in which we look at the human body and the way in which we look at how we were created, all of the pieces that need to be there are there. So if something is fine and then all of a sudden it's off, and that means that let's look to see what changed. Let's look at this almost like a science experiment. Okay. So if we were going through a routine and something has now changed with my baby, well, then let me take a look at what it was that I was doing that may have changed it. So it's things like, for example, if a baby's having trouble sleeping, well, are they too hot? Are they too cold? Are they just feeling really anxious and frazzled? Are they just not well fed? Do they need to eat more? So there's all these different things that you can look at. So in our case with our daughter, it was a matter of her having just gassiness. And it's just okay. There's a gassiness that actually ended up being what kept her up at night. And that was for several months of just, it was very difficult for her to settle in. And so that was, I guess I'm doing this a little bit backwards. So that's what led us to realize that dairy was a sensitivity point for her.
Okay.
So what we first figured out, I'm going to go back to the beginning, was gluten. And how we figured out gluten was at some point, she's born and she's just this beautiful, amazing, awesome baby. And then she went from beautiful, amazing, awesome baby to, I noticed that there were patches on her skin. And I'm thinking, okay, I know it's not, I don't think at this point we've done anything in terms of introducing new things to her skin. Let me go ahead and just start doing some research. So I took, actually, because I have a cool collection of books. So I grabbed one of my research books and said, okay, what could be a possible connection for just eczema? And so something was mentioned was if there's any kind of skin thing that's happening with your child in your breastfeeding, or however it is that they're getting their nourishment, check to look to see if there are particular things in your own diet that may be fueling that, right? So it's look at caffeine if you're a coffee drinker, look at gluten, look at dairy, look at soy, look at all of these common allergens and be willing to remove them for a few days to a week and see how your baby responds. Well, sure enough, we took out gluten because I went, that seems like it's easy enough. And so we took that out. And lo and behold, her skin no longer had the patches. It went back to just happy and smooth and normal and went, okay, duly noted. There's gluten. So we went ahead and just eliminated that from the diet, which was its own interesting transition. You don't realize how much that's in what it is that you eat. But nevertheless, it was important for me to know that her body was healthy and well. And you might think, okay, skin, I'll just put some lotion on it. But just know the body is telling you that something is wrong. So let's be willing to listen to that and then make adjustments so that it can function as optimally as possible. So yeah, so it was basically the same type of scenario with dairy with regards to sleep. So it wasn't until she was 10 months that she was able to sleep solidly through the night. And it was after I broke up with dairy. It took a little bit of time to figure that one out. But once nope.
There's some food love affairs, like you said, it's like gluten. Okay, yeah, that's the easier thing to, take out first. I mean, we have been indoctrinated with certain foods, and I mean, we're in love with certain foods that are manufactured heavily and have been pushed. And in some of our communities, they're not as healthy as others, and so it's sometimes very hard to break up that love affair. But and it's amazing with what you're sharing with me about the fact that you were breastfeeding and you were able to do that, because how much harder is it as a formula fed mother it would be to be able to figure some of those things out. I know I'm in certain mom groups, some of them are not just breastfeeding groups, and so as we discuss certain things going on with your baby, I first have to ask, are you breastfeeding? Because that is a beautiful way of being able to help your baby to through some of those things. You know, you take care of the thing, it is filtered through your body and into your baby through your breast milk. And so how awesome is that you noticed her skin and then adjusted your diet to be able to be helpful to her. And you know, so it just is it just continues to be that breastfeeding in so many different ways is it helps to connect you to the health of your baby, even your own. So that was really neat. So all right, so I'm backing up. I know we're kind of all over the place, but I told you this was just informal, just hanging out, having a conversation, and other people are listening. So in pregnancy, did you find that there were certain things that you did a little differently for the health of yourself and your baby when you were pregnant?
Yes. So when I was pregnant, I will say I decided with both of my children to go through and do a childbirthing class that not only talked about getting to know your body and how it moves and flows and functions and to really honor that space, but also to look at the nutritional component in terms of how much protein is recommended for you to get, how many dark and leafy greens, making sure that your water intake is well, that you're getting different types of movement, practicing Kegels, these kinds of things. And so before I was already eating a plant-based diet anyway. So I'd been plant-based since 2005. So at the time when I had my daughter, that's 2014, I was already well established in that mode of eating. So where it was an interesting challenge for me was figuring out, okay, I'm choosing to take up my protein intake so that I can now be in a place to support this growth. So that was a little bit interesting of figuring out how to move and manipulate things. And I almost wonder if during that time, because I didn't know, of course, that she was sensitive to milk, I was drinking a lot of milk or different milk products. So lots of yogurts, cheeses, that kind of thing, in addition to so again, being plant-based, more of a flexitarian model. So eggs were never an issue. Doing various types of fish like salmon, for example, going easy on tuna, of course, because of mercury and whatnot. But nevertheless, doing that along with different beans, legumes, all the things to keep up the protein intake. So that was a huge, huge, huge help with regards to making sure that I had the energy I needed to sustain myself as well as to help my growing little one as they were developing.
Awesome. We have a comment talking about how much McDonald's you eat a day. I was thinking about like just even in certain communities, like even hot chips and stuff like that, you know, and there are certain things crazy things we crave. And I believe that some of those cravings are based on their certain needs that our body needs, and then others are just that, you know, that taste, you know. And so it is a little interesting.
Yes, very much so. Yes. Word.
No, but that is amazing. So okay, so in your journey eating healthier and doing all the wonderful things in which you do on Instagram and on Facebook. I love following your pages and your Instagram feeds of just healthy cooking and living. And it makes it seem, I know for myself, I love to cook. I'm used to certain things of how to cook a certain thing, right? And so then when you get healthier eating, well, of course, that means that things don't last as long because, of course, there's less preservatives in it, which, of course, is a good thing. But it's like, okay, now I'm under the gun of I have to fix these things soon because I don't want them to spoil. They are better for my family, but now I have to come up with these beautiful, brilliant recipes, you know, to be able to make sure my growing crew, you know, enjoys them. Taste wise as well as body wise. And so with what you do, you make it seem so much easier than we think it, you know, sometimes in our head that it
definitely.
What helps with that?
Yeah. So I will say my heart very much is to help those who are feeling like I'd love to eat healthier, but that basically means I'm gonna have to sit around waiting in the middle of the night for my fruit to ripen because the moment it's ripe, then it's just done, and then I have to throw it out. That's me and avocados, by the way. I have this love-hate relationship with avocados for that very reason. We figured out some hacks with that, but it's feeling like you said, you want to eat in a healthier way. You want to be able to make these healthier choices. And yet it feels so difficult because it's just either you're going, I'm just not going to worry about it. I'll just, grab one healthy thing and just call it good. Or you dive all in, get overwhelmed because you went to Whole Foods and then just figured, well, I'm just going to get everything from Whole Foods and it's just going to be awesome. And it's just, no.
Yeah, and things mold and get old. I'm sorry, I'm speaking from personal experience. And I'm like, I got all this beautiful food, but it's like, I don't know what to do with it and make it, wonderful.
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah. So part of my mission is to make that process so much easier. So it's things like, and I think it's over, I'll make sure that it's in my Instagram so you can click on it. So it's a checklist, for example, of things that you can just keep in the pantry, real easy to make sure that you have them available. Because a lot of times, you may want to go up and get the exotic fun stuff. But unless you're ready and have a recipe already in mind that you feel comfortable doing and you know that your family loves, getting the exotic stuff that ends up, basically spoiling, and then you feel horrible because you spent all this money and then you didn't actually eat it, and then they're looking at you going, why in the world did you just get a rotisserie chicken? Just make it simple, right? So that is a checklist to be able to help with that process. In fact, keeping a kitchen staples checklist is one of the huge tips that I share with people, just to help to make things easy. As well as when you're choosing fresh produce, if that is completely new to you and you're used to just eating out for everything, one step at a time, just do one swap. You don't have to swap out everything. You don't have to all of a sudden become this, you don't have to all of a sudden become Tabitha Brown. You don't have to do that. If you do, cool, I'm all about it. But don't feel like that has to be the standard. Just do one swap, try it out, get a feel for it, get comfortable with it, and then be willing to do another swap and just take it one step at a time. And then, of course, freezers. Oh my word. Freezers. If you do not hear anything else, please, use your freezer to the best of your ability. It is it's my best friend. Sorry, Vitamix. My blender is also my best friend, but if I had to put, they're right there next to each other, right? Because I can, for example, go to Walmart and get some organic baby spinach. I get my container of organic baby spinach, I pop it in the freezer. Why? Because when I'm making up my smoothies, it's already done, it's already frozen, and it's there. And I don't have to worry about it spoiling because it's in the freezer. Or I decide to go to Kroger and I get some bananas. I'm going to get 8 of them. Am I going to eat all 8 of them in the next 3 or 4 days? No, and that's okay, because I'm going to take them, I'm going to peel them, cut them up. I put them on either wax paper or parchment paper, put it on a cookie sheet, put it in the freezer, let it sit for a few hours. Now they're all frozen, which means now I can put them in a baggie or in a container, put it back in the freezer. Whenever I need them to make smoothies, they're ready. If somebody wants me to make some nice cream, so we'll make ice cream out of frozen bananas, it's ready. And so that's a way for me to be able to keep bananas, avocados, spinach, all sorts of produce that you'd normally be going, oh my goodness, what am I going to do? That's a way for you to be able to preserve it and hold on to it.
Okay, freezer. All right.
Yes, yeah. So that also is super key if you're thinking, okay, I really am not that much into fruit. Totally okay. If you're someone who wants to be able to make things like chilies or different pasta dishes, getting things like chopped onions, you can get a bag of chopped onions if that's your flavor, and then it's just ready to go. You just open it up, dump it in, and then within 20 minutes, you can easily have a meal on the table. But it's about making sure that whatever it is that you're grabbing to keep it, like you said, free from preservatives. Yes, that will shorten its life, but we're trying not to shorten yours. So so I think it's a reasonable trade-off to go, I'm gonna just get the real deal. So we want to keep it real, we want to keep it fresh, you want to keep it simple, and just start with that. So helpful.
So thank you for that, about the freezer. So on top of everything else you do, you're a wife, mother, how long does it take you to prep and do a dinner?
Oh my goodness. Okay, so are we talking about a normal night dinner, or are we talking about a fancy dinner?
Give us both of them. Yeah.
Yeah. So So something to preface, because I always want to make sure to come at this properly. So as a kid, I did not like to cook. I was happy to eat whatever was given, although I was a pretty picky eater. And I didn't actually start cooking until after college. So it's not like I grew up cooking and it was just my thing. And then it was just, no, this was a lot of trial and error. And oh, wow, I didn't realize you could burn water kind of stuff, right? That was so I get it. I'm not a cook, girl. I wasn't a cook either. Okay. So with a standard, just kind of going for the night meal. So for example, I came in from a long day of driving, going, oh great, I gotta get dinner ready. So I had dinner ready in about 35 minutes, and that's just because I was checking messages.
All right.
It was, just putting things in. I know that this goes in the steamer. I know that this goes in the stove. I've already have rice pre-made, so I'll make a whole huge bulk of rice so I can get that and mix it in whatever it needs to be mixed in. And then they're off and they're eating and everybody's good 35 minutes later. So if I'm making something from scratch, that's what it looks like. It's about 35 minutes. If it's already done or it's in a crock pot, then I'm just serving it. If, however, I'm doing something super fun and fancy, like we did a dinner this weekend, then I'm normally, I just hang out in the kitchen all day and just make it into a thing. So it might be 3 or 4 hours of just enjoying the space and enjoying just mixing and doing things. And yeah, so for me, it's created a bit of a happy space because normally no one bothers me in the kitchen. So although the kids do help on occasion, and that's a really cool thing too, is to invite them into that space to cook with us.
Yeah, it has been fun to watch them help along more and more as they're getting a little older and being more involved. That has been wonderful. Wow. I'm so glad that you're joining us for just some helpful information and some tips. What are some tips that you suggest for like just quick snacks for children that
great. Yes. So I will preface it saying that if you are on Instagram, be sure to head over to my page, Hey Lydia Epic. Yes. And you will see over in the IGTV, we did a whole series on snacks that are just quick, healthy, made with the kids. It was a blast. I really loved it. Okay. So some quick and easy, just throw together snacks. One of our absolute favorites is a trail mix, which is homemade. So instead of buying a trail mix, which may or may not have all sorts of preservatives in it, we're using things like cashews, almonds, sunflower seeds. We're using pumpkin seeds, right? Because those are all really great high protein sources and have a whole collection of vitamin and minerals naturally in there. So using that and combining it with things like raisins or dried cherries. You can throw in some chocolate chips if you want to be real fun and fancy. So that's a way to have it where it's just ready to go, and we keep that on the counter, and that's like a cookie jar for us. We just kind of pull that and have some.
Okay.
Yeah. Another, if you're not necessarily on the nuts side of things, is just to take an apple. So take an apple, whether it's a green, one of the green apples, or if you get any of the red apples, to get a Gala apple, if you know the different types, right? Gala, Fuji, that kind, that are a bit firmer. So if you feel it and it's a really firm apple, then those are the ones you want to get.
Okay.
And just, you can peel it, slice it up, drizzle it with some maple syrup and cinnamon, pop it in the oven, 350 for about 10 to 15 minutes, and you have these beautiful roasted apple cinnamon slices.
Ooh, that sounds tasty.
Yes, they go fast.
I'm sure. Oh my goodness. So what would be a good snack for a mom on the go that may not be able to stop for a complete meal, but just, a good snack, but a filling snack? What do you recommend?
Yeah, most definitely. So my personal favorite, and it's a go-to because it helps with the two main things that your body needs whenever you're feeling just really either drained or you're needing a good calorie boost, is fat and protein. Those two, when you get those in good proportion and they're clean, can do phenomenal things for your body. So I like to make spice bombs. So it's cocoa powder, almond butter or peanut butter, whatever you want to use. Also, you can use a little bit of honey or maple syrup if that's your thing. and coconut oil. So I use those. Sometimes I'll throw in a little bit of a spice, whether it's a thieves spice or it's a ginger spice, and I literally just put that in a bowl, mix it up, and I can give the yes, I have the measurements. I'll make sure to have that will connect so you can see what the actual measurements are on that.
Okay.
And so I mix that up, put it into cupcake liners, right? And then put that in the freezer. So when they come out, they're like little Reese's peanut butter cups where it's all mixed in. So I'll grab one of those when I'm heading out the door and I just need a burst of energy. And that's a really great way to be able to get it, knowing that it's going to be long lasting and not just a quick carby thing like a croissant or a biscuit, which will spike your blood sugar and then drop you down.
Wow, that's pretty cool. Okay, yeah, I love the recipe for that. This is really very helpful. I reminded in years past that for National Nutrition Month, we've been joined by WIC nutritionists. We had a Black-owned vegan restaurant join us, and I was really excited about that because for some of our moms, that was their first experience eating a vegan meal. And so I know that, sometimes people will do a vegan meal that kind of looks like, another kind of meal versus just a true vegan meal. So we had like a bit of both. But, it like everybody enjoyed it. And so some people feel like, when they start getting more into breastfeeding, they start looking into more healthier options and things for themselves and their children, which is all just a part of the journey. And it just helps us, like you said, we don't, less preservatives for our food. It means, healthier and longer lives for us. There's just this ebb and flow in what you learn about our bodies, the food we intake, how we take care of our children, breastfeeding and beyond, and the foods we're putting in our bodies. So it's just, this wonderful journey of awareness and support. And so it's important for us to just be surrounded by people who are already entrenched in the journey. And so I appreciate you for taking time with our moms and our families to just share some tips. Please share all your social media areas and where you can be reached. And so they are well aware and can like and love.
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah. So whether you're on Facebook or Instagram, you can find me at Hey Lydia Eppic. So it's Epic with 2 P's. So think, it's a big book, but with 2 P's. And then also I have my website, and that's www.lydiaepic.com. So you can come over there and hang out and see the things that are going on. And if you'd like to connect more in terms of doing cooking Q&As and that kind of thing, I do have a Facebook group. It's free to join, and that is called the Wellness Kitchen. And in that space, again, it's just free for people to ask questions, and we talk about how important it is to not just simply feed ourselves from a food standpoint, but to realize that it's important to just be in that place of self-care and developing really healthy routines. Because for us as moms, it's really easy to be lost in the midst of taking care of our children, whether we're working outside of the home or not. And so the more we choose to care for ourselves and our bodies well, and that gives a strong message to our children of how important it is for them to do the same, as well as reinforce the fact that we're women and then we're moms, right? So there's a whole journey that we're on that we get to share that with our children, which is awesome. So you can check it out at the Wellness Kitchen. That's a Facebook group.
Awesome. That is wonderful. And just also just the further note with healthier eating, and this coming of just awareness in itself, it of course helps you to lose weight because you're eating healthier. Are there any tips of certain things to eat that will further promote weight loss for a mom concerned about that?
Great question. So I will say that when it comes to mamas, thinking about where you are on your postpartum journey is really, really key. So realize that it took you 10 months to 40 weeks to gain that weight with your baby. So be willing to give yourself just that much time, if not a little bit more, because you are adjusting. It's a whole different energy set afterwards. So I know that the whole snapback thing is a thing, and it's just, if that's you and that's your goal, cool, go for it. But don't feel like that somehow has to be the standard. It's so important that you take care of this one body that you have and choose to honor it that way. So in terms of the number one thing I would recommend with weight loss, it's water. I know you probably heard that 100,000 times, but it's true. And a lot of the research is showing us that when you're well hydrated, that allows you to better understand when you are full. So really, I should say when you are satisfied, because there's a difference between when you're eating to satisfaction versus eating to fullness. So if you're constantly snacking, or you had a really tough day, so you're going to eat something, or you're really angry and upset and you're going to eat something, or you're feeling really sad and you're going to eat something, it ends up creating this very, it's difficult for your brain to figure out what it is that's supposed to be happening with food. Is it for nourishment or is it for comfort? So when you're drinking water, you're helping, along with choosing to be mindful of when it is that you're eating, you're helping to clarify that delineation in your brain that when I eat, it's for nourishment. Yes, there is pleasurable pieces to it, but it's not because I'm emotional. It's in its own thing. So water is super, super huge.
Yeah, there's some times where I just drink where I'm like, oh, that's just like the best. Like it just, saturates every part of me. And I'm thinking, oh, that was just great. And of course I might be, I'm dehydrated, but at the same time, it's just, I just, oh yes, water. You're absolutely right. That helps just flush and make sure, your skin is looking its best, just everything. Yeah, even for milk production, it's good as well.
Exactly. Super, super huge.
Good old water. But thank you so much for sharing all of this with us. I miss you in person, but I appreciate you joining us virtually. And I pray that your family is well and healthy and stays that way.
Yeah, you as well.
And I'm sure with healthier eating, it's also a good immune booster, especially with things going on, and even before all this pandemic things. It just helps keep everybody healthy, also, right?
Most definitely. And even like I mentioned with our little ones when we were breastfeeding, and being able to figure out when things are off, when you're eating cleaner, right? It's allowing you to be in a place to better hear what it is that your body is saying. So when there is a slight thing off, you notice it much faster than if everything is run down and your body is constantly playing catch up. So it makes a world of difference. Those little tweaks make a world of difference.
You're so right. And there's so many things that we already have to deal with as women, especially Black women, that we need to be as best as we can to be able to give what we can of ourselves. And so some of us are so used to working and running at zero that they think that's okay. And that when they get a little bit above that, it's like, whoa, I'm doing something. But it's like, if you're working at 100, oh my goodness, there's so much more that you can do and be more efficient and taking care of yourself first, than being able to take care of others. And I promise you, I am talking to myself as well. So, it's just a matter, once again, of us being surrounded by support and love of our sisters. And sister, I definitely feel supported and loved by you and appreciate you for joining us. Was there anything else that you'd like to share, or any comments or anything?
Yes. So it's interesting that as you were talking about the fact that we as Black women, we take on so much, and how that causes our bodies to wear down. Because interestingly enough, as much as drinking water is definitely a number one point to consider with weight loss, stress is the next one in the line.
You're right.
That's the next one. And so our bodies, in terms of just how it's working from a hormone standpoint, if that's out of balance because we're living in such a stressed fight or flight mode, to the point where our body thinks that that's where it exists.
That's where we live.
That's where we live. And then it means that it pulls away from being able to do other things that our body needs, and opens the door towards weight gain, dealing with, all of a sudden it's just, why do I have this gut thing going on in terms of just gut issues, all of those pieces. So water, clean water, and reducing stress can do amazing, amazing things with regards to just feeling happier, healthier, and with weight loss.
All right. Thank you for that. Thank
Yeah,
you.
you got
All
it.
right. All right, moms, my sisters. I'm hoping y'all took great note. This, of course, will be available on our pages and everything. I appreciate once again, Miss Lydia, you for joining us, and our moms, my sisters. I appreciate y'all for tuning in. We remain committed in this work, even though we cannot see each other in person. So thank you so much for joining us as we do these BSTARS live meetups until we do something else and can see each other. But I want to wish you, Lydia, as well as everyone, a wonderful evening. It is actually still slightly light outside, which is nice. And so, yeah, I'm going to take advantage of that for a moment. And I look forward to seeing you all the second Wednesday of April. And then that last Wednesday, as we have become accustomed to. But again, Lydia, thank you so much for joining us. And I hope you have a good evening.
Yeah, thank you again. It's amazing.
Please hug my niece and nephew for me.
I will do. And please be sure to tell Mama and the family we said hey.
I will. Absolutely. All right. Take care.
Bye.
All right. Bye-bye.
Guys.
Yay. Hold on a minute, Lydia. Make sure everything is off.